Okay, Abhiram. Right. So we were discussing about leadership styles, right? So there are different styles of leadership. We were seeing what they are. Okay, only we have to study only three of them, but there are many are there. Okay, so what was the first one which we saw? We saw the leadership which is based on the use of authority. Right. So how much of an authority does a leader use? Right. On based on that leadership, that criteria, there are three types of leadership, right? There's an autocratic leader, there's a democratic leader, and there's a leader who gives free reign or free reign leadership, right? So what happens in autocratic leadership? Autocratic leadership, in this type of leadership, the leader has the supreme power. He is the supreme authority in making a decision, right? He just announces the decision, and the subordinates has to obey whatever is the leader's decision. And how does this work? Okay, this works because the leader has the power to grant, okay, to give or withhold rewards or punishment. Okay, so he may punish them, he may withhold their rewards, or he may give them reward. On based on that tactic is what this leadership works around, right? So in here, the subordinates have no role in the decision-making process. They just has to obey the leader. Right? They are just plain follow the leader. Now, what are the strengths of this leadership? So where does this leadership suit? This style of leadership suits where the subordinates they lack experience or they don't have the sufficient knowledge. Okay. In that kind of a situation, the leader can take a autocratic or authoritarian approach. So that will work fine, right? Uh, then what is the other thing? The decision making is very quick because the leader is the only one who is making the decision. So he can make the decision quicker because he doesn't have to discuss with someone else, right? So decision making becomes quicker, it becomes easier, uh, and the responsibilities. The leader can assign responsibilities also. So responsibility can be easily fixed. Okay, it goes other way around also because the leader made a bad decision. This is what happening. So that is also possible, but it's a two-way street, right? So normally, guessing responsibility can be easily fixed, right? Now, what is the weakness of this leadership? First and foremost is because the subordinates have zero role, their morale, their self-confidence will be low, right? They're just obeying the leader. Plus, again, subordinates are giving zero input, so they might have good ideas, right? Their capabilities are not being seen or not utilized. So the ideas and capabilities of the subordinates are not fully utilized. Okay. Then the second type is democratic or participative leadership. Okay. In this style of leadership, what happens is the leader consults with the subordinates. Okay. He not only consults but also he encourages them to participate. Okay. He encourages their participation. He say, "Come on, give me an answer." Okay. So here, two things are possible. One is leader has to make a decision on a topic, so he'll call up a meeting. Everyone will sit together, everyone will discuss, everyone's opinion will be heard, and then the decision will be made. Or else, the second scenario is leader would have already made a decision, okay, but he has not announced it. Okay, if he announces it, that becomes an autocratic style, authoritarian style, right? But leader has a decision in his mind, but he's ready to accept inputs. Okay, he's ready to discuss. Okay, so he listens to others, and then finally he announces the decision, right? So what is the strength here? There's a good team is formed. Again, the members they they have the job satisfaction and their increase morale is there, right? And it overall helps to develop a positive attitude. And now, what are the weaknesses? Weaknesses, it's a time consuming process, right? So everyone has to be heard. It delays the decision making. Plus, the second thing is requires proper communication between the subordinates and superiors. Okay, proper communication between subordinates and superiors. Uh, because they are talking about ideas, so ideas should not be lost in translation. So we cannot say later that I didn't mean that, I didn't mean this. Okay, so you have to be very clear with in communication, right? So the communication channel should be very clear, very direct. The third type is free reign leadership. The free reign leadership is the leader gives complete authority, complete freedom to the subordinates. Here, the leader may not use any of his power. Okay, it will be zero. If usage of his power is zero, so ineffectively there is no leader. Okay, or even if he is using the power, it's very little. That's the case. Okay. So the subordinates will have a higher degree of independence. So the superior, what is the role of the superior or the leader in here? In this case, he just frames the policies. Okay, he frames the policies and give full freedom to the subordinates, and they can implement it. Okay? Like our ad company, right? So this ad has to be made. This is our budget. This is the scenario. You do this. Okay, this you do this. This becomes the role of the subordinates. Okay, now the subordinate may employ autocratic style or democratic style. That's but first superior using a free reign style. And this style of leadership is not suitable for everywhere, but it is essentially or can be applicable or it is best suited for creative pieces. Okay, where creative things are needed. Right? Now, what are strength? Strength is your full utilization of the abilities of the subordinates. Okay, subordinates are given the free reign, so their full abilities can be utilized over here. Right? Here, his or her full creative power can be used. Then there in this morale, job satisfaction. Okay. Again, what are the weakness? Ineffectively, there is no leadership over here, and subordinates cannot get any guidance or supervision from the or support from the leader because it's, again everything is being given to the subordinate, so he can decide whatever he wants based on the constraints or based on the policies given by the leader. Sometimes he may not even give the policy also. So the subordinates have no one to look for, right? So because that's the first style of leadership that is based on authority. Based on authority, we have authoritarian style, democratic style, and third one is uh, free reign style. Okay, that's first. Now the second type of leadership is based on managerial grid. Okay, managerial grid, it was developed by Mr. Robert Blake and Jane Mouton, right? The grid is used to describe managerial styles, right? We know there is two dimensions, x and y direction. Okay, in the x direction, we are having concern for production, and the vertical direction or y direction, or we have concern for people, right? Now, what is concern for uh, production and concern for people? Concern for production means it is includes the attitude of supervisor towards things such as quality of decisions, procedures, processes, quality of service, work efficiency, and output volume, right? So here, what is happening here? The output. So when we say concern for production, we are not only meaning the output, right? Here, output is important, yes, but how it is produced, it's also being looked into. What is the quality of the process, quality of the decision, quality of the policy, quality of the procedure? Okay, all these things are being judged. So that comes under concern for production. And concern for people. Concern for people includes all the elements of related to a person, their commitment, personal commitment towards the goal achievement, maintenance of self-esteem of workers, placement of responsibilities on the basis of trust rather than obedience. Okay, and maintaining satisfying interpersonal relationships. That becomes concern for people. Okay. So based on this, you can see we can see this grid. This grid consists of like 81 cells, right? So, and what happens is this Robert Blake and Mouton, this managerial style. Okay. Then they identify 5 types of leadership. The first one is cell 1-1. Right? Cell 1-1, you can see, right, at the bottom left corner. The cell 1-1, we call it style 1-1 or impoverished style. Okay, impoverished style. It is located at the lower left hand corner of the grid. In this style, managers have low concern for. So we can see 1-1. So the concern for production is low, concern for people is also low. Okay, so what happens in this thing? That they put in minimum effort. Okay, 1-1, they put in minimum effort. And what are they? They are just interested in their self being and their survival. Okay, their well being and survival. So they are a very selfish sort of people, right? And basically they act as a what messengers from superiors to subordinates. So in effectively there is no leadership itself, right? They don't have a concern with production. They don't have concern with people. The second style is 9-1 style. Okay, 9-1 means the corner right, okay, right bottom. Okay, so 9-1 is autocratic or authoritarian style. So you can see the production concern for production is very high and concern for people is low. Okay, so here also the leaders are bothered only about organization goals, okay, and employees are not relevant to them. Okay, so the person may treat the employees as machines. Okay, and they'll just give out the instructions and they'll force the uh, whatever is the rule. Okay, they force instructions and discipline. The third style is country club style. Okay, so that is 1-9. Okay, 1-9. So top left, okay, bottom left, bottom right, top left, top right. Okay, order is not necessary, but you just understand what it is. So top style is 1-9 style. So 1-9 style means X direction. The horizontal direction is concern for production. So concern for production is very low and concern for people is very high. Right. So here what happens? The manager or the leader is bothered about people. So he wants to keep the people happy. So he promotes an environment in which the employees are relaxed, they are friendly, they are happy, and basically no one is concerned about achievement of the organization goals. Okay, so it will happen. So sort of that kind of an attitude is there. Okay? The fourth style is team manager style. Okay, 9-9. So top right. Okay, 9-9 style. So your concern for production is high, concern for people is also high. Okay, so located in the top right corner. Okay? Try to learn the names. Okay, rather than 9-9 style, try right team manager style. Okay, country club style, authoritarian style, impoverished style. So located to the upper right hand of the grid. Then here 9-9. It's also concern for production is also very high. Concern for people is also high. Okay? So this is the most effective type of leadership according to this model. Okay, according if we see this model, that is the Blake Mouton model or manager grid. According to that, we can see that this 9-9 style is the best one. Okay, so here managers what they do, they can gel, they can mesh. Okay, they can mesh both the need of organization with the need of people. Okay, so both are given priority. Okay. So what do the managers do? They through their decisions, to their actions, they display the highest possible dedication to both people and production. Okay. The fifth one is middle of the road style. Okay, in between 5-5. We are having middle. We have not reached the maximum. We are not going for minimum also. We are not reached high. We are not reached low. We are in the middle 5-5. So your concern for people is there, concern for production is there, but it's in the there's a balance between them. Okay, it's the here a balance between the people and productivity is maintained. Okay, so there will be adequate morale, so and adequate production. It's not a high. The production is not high. Concern for production is not. The production is not high. Concern from people is not high means the morale is there, but it is not high. It is satisfactory. In between, right? So what is the aim of here? Here, the aim is we are first of all we are setting the goals not too high. Okay, in between 5. Okay, we have set a goal in between, and the employee morale should be maintained in such a way that that goal is met. Okay, we need not go beyond that. Okay, the employee morale we should keep it such a way that the employees are made happy enough to work. Okay, enough to reach there. We need only 5 units, so employees are kept happy so that they will produce 5. Okay, they may not produce 6, and they should not produce 4. Okay, we need 5, so we are keeping an environment such that the employee produces 5, right? So that is middle of the road style. Clear? Now, what are the advantages of this manager grid? Advantages. First of all, we can identify different manager styles, identify and classify manager styles are easy. Then it can be used as an instrument for organizational development, and successfully improving attitudes and behavior of people. What you have to understand here is when we say, see, we start the company with a 5-5. Okay, we go start with the company with 5, 5. That means we are reaching in between. The production is in between, right? So we can start with 5, 5, and then we can progressively go for 9, 9. So what should be the best, or what is the best? It is 9, 9. So what should be our aim? It should be 9, 9. So we can go accordingly. Okay, that is an idea. Now, what are the disadvantages? So disadvantages is very vague. Okay, it does not indicate why a manager falls in one part of the grid. There's no explanation. They have just divided the grid in such a way. They have given 9 higher value than 1, so that why it is such that. But there's no explanation why 9 is high. Okay, what is 9? There's no explanation. More dimensions of leadership can be learned. So there are more than this. Okay, more than these 5 are there, right? So in the first case, we saw 3: authoritarian, free reign, and democratic. A different classification, right? There are more possibilities are there that we'll see in the next continuum. Okay, we have seen it in continuum, right? So it neglects the significance of internal and external constraints, circumstances, and situations. So here, the external or internal environment is not concerned, only not considered. Only concern for people and concern for production is chosen. What are the factors affected there? It does not mean see, like the third type is third classification basis is leadership as a continuum. Okay, so as we have seen as continuum, right? Continuum means something that ranges from one to like ranges from one end to other end, like we have seen in the electromagnetic spectrum. Okay, electromagnetic spectrum. You might remember the figure, right? Picture, right? You can say UV, you can say X-rays, gamma rays, radio waves, microwave, visible, ultraviolet, right? We can say. Okay, but if there are clear distinction, we say 0.3, 300 to 400 nanometer to 600 nanometers, like this. We may say that, but when we look into the figure, we can see that there is it's ranging. Okay, it's ranging from 1 to n. Even if you see RGB, blue, green, and red, you cannot see. It's not like that. A line is there. From there, blue and green starts. No. So you'll see blue, then blue will become light, then becomes a little bit of yellow will come, then the green will start. So that's a continuum. Okay. So here also leadership is it's a continuum. Continuum. What are the two ends? Okay. First ends here. One is boss-centered leadership, and other one is subordinate-centered leadership. So leadership is in between them. Okay. There are different leadership styles. We will see that. Okay. So leadership continuum model was developed by Robert Tannenbaum and Warren Schmidt. Okay, the concept sees leadership involves a variety of styles ranging from one that is highly boss-centered to that one is highly sub-centered. So there's many other in between them. So it ranges from one end to another. So our leadership style may be anything between them. Okay, anything between boss-centered and subordinate-centered. Okay, anything between green and or blue and red, like that. Okay, so here the appropriate style of leadership depends on the leader, follower, and the situation. What you have to understand here is here a leadership style will depend upon the leader, then follower, and the situation, right? So because see, as we have seen yesterday, right? A single leader. So suppose I am the leader, I may have 3 employees under me. So I'll be giving one employee complete freedom, right? Complete freedom may be given. So he may be given free rein, right? The other, it may be like what I may give him autocratic set. I may follow an autocratic approach to him because it depends on him and me. Okay, he may not be qualified enough. He may not have the experience required. He might not have the knowledge. Okay? So in some case, I may be using a democratic. So I may ask for his help also. So we have to make a decision what can be done. So come on, we'll have a discussion. Okay. Before that, it's not relevant for you, but even then, see, this is what I was saying. So here we can see it's when we see it's actually blue, green, and red RGB. See here you can see blue, green, and RGB brand, right? So here, as you can see, there's no clear cut distinction. It is gradually fading from one to another, right? Blue to red. Okay, that's what we say as electromagnetic. Similar is the continuum approach over here also, right? So just for you to understand. Now, as we said, leadership depends upon the leader followed by the situation. Okay? So according to Tannenbaum and Schmidt, most important elements that influences manager can be seen along a continuum as one is the forces operating in the manager's personality, his value, what kind of manager I am. Okay? Whether I am trying to develop my juniors for next generation. Okay? Whether I am a selfish person. Okay? What is my confidence in myself? Okay? Feeling of security. Okay? If I have the confidence in myself, then only I will be trying to develop someone else. If I don't have the confidence in myself, I don't have security in myself. Okay? If I feel that if I train him and he becomes better than me, I may lose it. That is my mindset. If that's my mindset, I will never do that. I'll never train a junior, right? I may always try to suppress it. Then confidence in the subordinates. Okay? So if I am also ready, but I don't have the confidence in subordinates, I don't have the confidence in this person that he or she may become a good leader. Okay, I don't trust him enough to give him a particular job. So that will affect. So that are the forces acting in the manager's personality, right? The second one is the forces in the subordinates. Okay, what kind of person is the subordinate? Is he willing to accept the responsibilities? Does he have the knowledge? Does he have the experience? His willingness is important. Okay, all these factors will affect the manager. Okay, so if this person is a confident one, he's taking up responsibilities, he has knowledge, he's doing the things, he has the experience. If the manager sees that, the manager will give him more and more responsibilities. Okay, usually we say, okay, if he's a good enough working, we'll give more responsibility. Okay, he's doing a very good job, he can be given more and more responsibility. That will be the second one. The forces in subordinates that affect the behavior of managers. The third one is situation forces. Okay. What is the organizational values? What is the tradition of the organization? Sometimes it will be the juniors cannot take part in any decision making because you are a junior fellow, you need to develop. Okay, you say when the seniors are speaking, don't speak. Even in our homes, right? Same way, the seniors will make the decision, juniors have to obey. That may be the tradition over there in the company. Then suppose the nature of the problem. So it might be something which is very delicate, very important. So it should be made. The decision should be made by a selected few. That may be also the factor. Then pressure of time. So how much time do we have? We say the decision making takes time, right? So, how much time do we have? So this is three forces. Okay. Now, what are the various styles of leadership based on the model? The first one is manager makes the decision and announces. So what is that? It is completely boss centered, or it is an authoritarian style. Okay. In the figure we can see. Okay. The use of authority by the manager. Okay. Complete boss. So the first one is he's using complete. Manager makes the decision and announces it. Right. Okay. What is the second one? The second one is manager sells his decision. Okay. It is not a manager is trying to convince. The manager takes a step of persuading. Persuading means convincing. Okay. Convincing, persuading the subordinates to accept his decision. Okay. So manager has made a decision. Now he wants everyone to accept the decision. So he is selling the decision. He is persuading. Okay. The second one is manager sells the decision. Okay. Third one is manager presents the idea and invites questions. So you can see how is this progressing. The first case, manager made a decision and he announced it. The second case, the manager has made a decision, but he needs the approval. He needs input from the others also so that he can employ the decision. Right? So he has to persuade. Here, third case is manager presents ideas and invites questions. Okay. So basically, his decision, manager has presented his decision and he has asked subordinates to respond to questions. Okay. But he has to respond to questions. So I have said, okay, this is my decision. Okay, this is what we have to do. But if the questions comes up, if the subordinates are questioning, what will happen if that is the case? What will happen if this is the case? Right? Like we see in the press conferences, right? The chief minister or the minister will come up and say, what these are the decisions. Now the press has the opportunity to question the decision. Okay. manager or the minister has to defend himself. They have to answer the questions. In same way, there are also questions. The subordinates will question the manager. Okay. The third type is the manager presents tentative decision subject to change after the subordinate's input. Okay. The fourth type, managers. Okay, here is okay. This is a decision. Can we accept it? Based on your decision, based on your input, we can change. Okay, so he's presenting tentative. So can we do this in that sort of in that sort of a manner? Can we do this? If it is okay, then they can do it. Okay, like that. They will have a discussion. Fifth one is manager presents problem, get suggestions, and make decision. Okay. So this is what we had to do. So we had to increase the production of 500 to 1000. So what can be done? Okay, that is the next one, fifth one. Okay. So here, as you can see, as and as the progress, this is progressing or ranging from one end to other, the style of decision making is getting different. So from boss center to subordinate center. Okay. Manager presents the problem and gets suggestion and makes a decision. What's the next thing? Manager defines the limits and asks groups to make a decision. Okay, we have to do something. Okay, rather than 1000, I'll say I had to make within we had to increase the production from 500 to at least 1000. So minimum 500, maximum 1000. What can we do? So they will have a discussion. Okay, and then finally they may decide upon 1000. They may decide on 750, or they may decide on 600. Okay, that will be again taken into consideration. And then what is the last thing? So here complete freedom is there. The manager's permit subordinates to function within limits defined by superior. Okay, it is almost like it's like free reign, right? The subordinates can perform, they can do what they want, right? What they want, they can do, but the thing is, they had to perform within the limit. Maybe at least that time you have to come at 9 o'clock, you can leave at 5. That may be the limit. Okay? So you have to produce this much of revenue, right? You have to like canvas this much of person, like LIC, right? People will try to do, so they can do until they have only to achieve the target. That's the type. So you can see as this is progressing, the more and more freedom is being given to subordinates. Okay? When we from left to right, so we read from left to right, so you can see how the authority changes. Clear? So manager and subordinate jointly make decisions within limits defined by the to continue approach offers a range of styles with no suggestion that one style is always right and the other is always wrong. Okay, so here that's what first we said. It will depend upon the manager, it will depend upon the subordinate, and it will depend upon the situation. Taking all these three things into consideration only, we have to decide. Right? So there's no one right and one wrong. Yeah. So the next topic is two types of leadership. Okay. Small topic: transaction leadership and transformational leadership. Okay. The first one is transactional leadership. So transactional leadership means it's a what we see. It's a traditional form of leadership. Transactional. Okay. Normal. We say transaction, right? Transaction between two persons. So you know what is happening. I'll give him money. He'll give me something else. That's the transaction. It's a common type or the normal type of traditional form of leadership. So what does a transaction leader do? The transaction leader identifies what subordinates need to do to achieve the objective. Okay, so he has an idea. Okay, I need 1000 pens. Now what has the subordinates has to do? This unit has to produce this much. This unit has to produce much, right? Or if I need my profit by a profit of 100. So I need marketing has to do that. Sales has to do this, production has to do this. So the manager has an idea. So the leader identifies what the subordinates need to do in order to achieve the objective. Okay, they clarify the organization roles, organization roles and tasks. What has to be done? Okay, they set up an organized structure. They reward performance and provide for the social needs of the followers. Okay. Normally, how a business should done? Business runs. Okay. We identify what has to be done, what each subordinate has to do, so that we can reach there. We clarify everything, who has to do what. Okay, he has to. You are in management or you are in marketing. You have to do this task. You are in production. You have to do this task. Okay. Person A, B, C. Person A is in marketing. he has to do this task. Person B is in production, he has to do this. Like that, everything has been clarified, right? Then they set up an organizational structure. So who will answer to whom? Okay, A and B should answer to C. Okay, C should answer to D, like that. It's structures there. If A or B has any doubt, you can go and contact C. So, organizational structure has been formed, like what we have seen in the past also, right? Then the reward their performance. If they are doing a good job, they should be rewarded. They should be given the like bonus or extra vacational days, like that. It should be rewarded and provide for the social needs of their followers. Provide for the social needs of followers. So they may need some social. You can see sometimes we give up there will be organizational parties will be there, outing will be there, or there will be if something grievances are there, itself will be there, like that. So whatever is the social needs, that has to be met with. So these leaders work hard and try to run the organization effectively and efficiently. So these are very hardworking people. Now, what is the strength? Clearly defines roles and expectations. So we know what is your role. I know what is expected of me. Okay, being a subordinate, I know what the leader expects from me. Okay, I need to produce 100 pens. So it's my role is to produce 100 pens. That's his expectation. So I should not go below that. Okay, that everything has been well defined. What is the weakness? It is creativity is limited as goals are set. Okay, I have to produce 100 pens. Okay, so I'll always think about producing 100 pens, and I will not think about producing 101 pens. Okay, there's no room for creativity because 100 I am used to producing 100 pens, so I can produce 100 pens daily. So I will not think about anything else. Okay. Then not fit for places that need innovative ideas. Right, everything is set, so there's no innovation here. So in that kind of a company, this thing will not work. Right? That is transaction. So transaction means normally how the traditionally how it goes. That kind of a leader. Okay. What is transformation? Transformation means change. It's an approach that causes change in people. Okay, transform. So it's an approach that leads to change in people. Now, transformation leaders present a vision, inspire and motivate followers, and create a climate favorable for organization change. Okay. Sometimes what will happen? So we have been doing like this, but we cannot go forward like this. So we have to change. Um, um, like we are forced to change into online media, right? So again, the shop owners may say, everyone is going for online, so we cannot depend upon the offline stuff. So more and more like webinars has to be done conducted, right? Or maybe institution like the software training institutions are there. Right? After BTech, we usually go for software training. So now there's no room for software training there. We cannot go there and study physically. So what are they? They are offering online courses. So they will present a vision and they will inspire and motivate followers. We have to do like this. So then only we can survive. So they will be inspiring and basically creates a climate for favorable climate for organization change. So he's a visionary, a transformation leader. From the word itself, you can get transform means change, to change, right? Designed to transform the organization quickly to respond to the rapid changes in the environment. Okay? Today it is there, tomorrow we don't know what will happen. Okay? COVID restrictions daily, it's changing, right? So everything is changing rapidly, so we have to respond to rapidly itself. Okay? What is the strength? Finds a better way of doing something. So in the first case, I find a transaction. I was producing 100 pens means I am doing the same thing over and over. I am not thinking about anything. I know how to produce 100 pens. I will be producing. But here, the reader or the will be thinking, how can we improve this? Okay, finds a better way of doing something. Helps to change the system to accommodate the vision rather than working within the existing limitation in the system. Okay? Sometimes if a minute change can bring out a lot of change, but we are used to the system. That's why we will follow this. Okay? Simply change something and the new system may rise. For that kind of situation to happen, we need a transformation leader. Okay? A transformation leadership is required. A simple change rather than doing within the limitation, existing limitations, we can improve. We can remove the limitation. Okay? To that happen, we need a transformation leader. Or transaction, if it is a transaction leader, he will say, we have been doing like this for the past 7 years or 10 years. Nothing is, no problems there. We are just trying to create a ruckus. Right? That may be a scenario. But if it's a transformation leader, say, okay, that's an issue. We know, okay, we can correct it. How can we correct it? He will be thinking about that. Okay, that's the strength. What is the weakness? Chances of conflict with people who resist to change. So actually, for people to change, it's very difficult. Okay, they will only change out of necessity, only when they are forced. So they may oppose the ideas. Okay? There's a chance of conflict. Lacks conceptual clarity. We cannot, everything cannot be put into writing, white, black and blue. There is something cannot be understood by everything. So there is a clarity issue. Conceptual clarity may be lacking in transformation because people may not understand. Last year, now you guys are all familiar with Google Meet, Google Classrooms, Zoom meeting, everything. But in the beginning, all of us have faced the issues. All of us faced some trouble, right? Same thing. Now, what is the comparison? How can we compare this? Transaction leadership uses rewards and punishments to initiate followers. Transformation leadership inspires and motivates the followers for achievement goal. We are inspired, we are motivated. We may not get anything in return. Even then, we are doing something. Right? We believe in the system. We fight for it. Right? So that's transformation. Transaction, we are doing it out of greed or punishment. Okay, we are getting the reward. If I do this, I'll get the reward. If I do not do this, I may be punished. So that is the difference. First difference. The second one is transaction leadership works for changing the present conditions of the organization. Okay. And transformation leadership works for changing the present condition. Okay, transaction leadership works within the organization, and transformation changes the present condition. Okay, we are in the first case. Sorry, I have written it wrong. In the first case, we works within the limitation. Okay, in the second case, we'll work outside the. Okay, we try to change the present condition. Okay. Third is transaction leadership focuses on planning and execution. Okay, everything has been planned, everything is set. Now transformation leadership focuses on innovation. We are thinking about new stuff, right? That's the difference between transaction and transformation, right? Clear? So we'll stop here for today. So please, if you have any doubts, let me know.